This is a gig by me and Matt, and of course the ISA, fantastic. Since how long, Kimberly? It's been like
February.
Every month someone's talked, and it's just great. I think it's a really good initiative, and hopefully we'll go more in the future. Okay, so I'm going to do the CARAVANSERAI talky bit, and then Mark's going to do like the what would you call it, Mark?
Fireside session.
The fireside session without a fire, out of context. Okay, so CARAVANSERAI is an art residency project initiated by Mark and myself at Cologne Coastal Holidays. If I suddenly go fuck, it's because my back hurts. I'll just like done something to my back, and if I move, it's sort of like, like that. Alright. This campsite is just over on the Roseland Peninsula. I don't know how many people have been there. There's quite a few people here who've been like working with us and been there, I know that. But it's very, very close, and it's Roseland's an amazing peninsula and accessible by ferry from Falmouth, passenger ferry, and then a bus, so you can just walk. It's just a fantastic area. So we've started this residency programme in partnership with campsite owners, Pete and Debs Walker. We host activities that engage with and celebrate the local environment and culture. Linked to CARAVANSERAI is my PhD research, which lots of people know, see me agonising over the academics. My project is called Interfaces of Location and Memory, and it's an exploration of place through context-led arts practice. And it's also part of Mark's ongoing literary and unbespoken word projects. All of our work as artists stems from being immersed in particular contexts. We have worked collaboratively and independently for over 2 decades on projects that span a wide spectrum of activities, situations and sites. It's very bright, but I think I can't see if I don't have the Okay. These include numerous individual and collective artist-led projects in virtual and physical spaces. For instance, before the ubiquity and ease of current social media platforms, we were working across borders from programming net architectures to shared media and collaborative webcasting with artists and musicians in Germany, the Republic of Georgia, and the UK. Exchange and collaboration, essential to our explorations, and media is used as specific context, sometimes recognisably art and sometimes perhaps not. Our experience of residency programmes in the UK, Germany and the Republic of Georgia has influenced our desire to create a shared space at Trelawney. We see CARAVANSERAI as a connected, responsive, doing, learning, making and social space. Hence our why we wanted to make a kind of cafe tonight. Added to all this, our experience of public art commissions in large-scale regenerations initiatives, where we have collaborated with numerous technologists, engineers, aquarium builders and so on to create interactive artworks driven by participation or sensor-led technologies, as well as large-scale image productions for architectural glazing and emergent participatory processes. We first discovered Trelawney in 2003, when in need of some space from the intensities of commission-based work. The caravan in which we stayed at different times of the year during the busy high season or the quiet winter months is a reflexive and elemental space where habitual is shifted in proximity to other temporary residents and events of the field. This is an inside but outside space. The walk across the field to the shower block or washing up area, come rain, wind or shine, the condensation on the windows, the wind drops nights, no sleep, the dark, silent, deep sleep nights, the horizontal shaft of light that sits on the sea's horizon first thing in the morning, the rain hammering on the roof of the footsteps of the roof or the footsteps of a bird, the pan boiling on the stove, the phone ringing but breaking up. There's no signal. The geographer David Crouch refers to the liminality of the experience of caravanning as being away from routine habits and having a different sense of being and doing. The closure of space for opening up the south. It was was in this space that the seeds of a creative residency project sprouted in dialogue with fellow artists, writers and friends who saw creative potential in the immersive experience of caravan life in the ever-changing environs of the site. Locally known as Artist Field, Trelone is situated in the parish of St Gerrans on the Roseland Peninsula, a popular tourist destination designated as an area of outstanding beauty, natural beauty. The parish includes the villages of Gerrans and Portscafo, once separate villages but now physically joined. These have a resident population of approximately 900 people. The local community hosts a large influx of visitors through second home ownership and holiday lets. And Trelone itself hosts over 2,000 visitors during the high season. Although there is a tendency to think of the caravan site as somewhere where people are in motion and transient, and the village is static and continuous, this easy distinction, which brings with it politics of belonging and identity, is disrupted by the many layers of community in which people come and go, stay for different amounts of time, either through desire or need, and are differently in motion through the site and the village with different trajectories. Stories and myths trace roots to the landscape, historical roots, both personal and political. Tensions of ownership of the land and property abound. One prominent tongue-in-cheek comment on the pervasive presence of blow-ins or tourists is local resident Simon Gill's public intervention, Hotel Splendide. Not that he would consider this an intervention, Simon is not an artist. Hotel Splendide is reflective of his quick wit and incisive humour. It's a comment on the numbers of people he sometimes needs to accommodate in his seafront home. Simon has been a sounding board for Project Guidebook, discovering what's in Dorset. I never put any guidebooks out. Oh. So somewhere, I brought them with me. Keen that facts are correct and that the idiosyncrasies of place are not lost, he granted permission for inclusion of his father's poetry. His father recently died, or Simon calls his poetry doggerel. Jerry Gill's prose and poetry is testament to the importance of situated knowledge, arising from his daily experiences and regular walks. He offers an invaluable record of environmental change at a very specific and experiential local level. The reason I mention this is that environmental projects are on the increase, and all too often undertaken as short-term initiatives, whereas immersive time spent can uncover the riches of knowledge that is already in place. This is our interest with Caravanserai, to seek out and respond to that which is already there, the extraordinary and the everyday, the comings and goings of a particular place. Caravanserai is a space of imagination for a multivocal response to place. To attempt the conditions that enable this is to believe in the purpose of the project to manifest locally. As Adam Sutherland from Grisdale Arts points out, to make significant work in non-art space, you need to forget about the hierarchy of the art world and create a relevant and engaging process and product. So for artists and curators, there is no point if you don't believe in it as an end in itself. That there is a purpose, that a work can manifest locally and be undertaken in that context. Sutherland invites people to work with the local context of Grisdale in the Lake District, also a tourist destination. He sees Grisdale arts as sitting at the geographical centre of a tangled web, hoping perhaps naively to contribute something to the ongoing conversations that are babbling around it. Similarly, Caravanserai is an ongoing conversation with Trelone. The partnership with Pete and Debs has evolved from being on site for long periods of time and getting involved with on-site activities such as making an allotment in what's now called the project field. To date, artists, writers, musicians, storytellers, geographers, foragers, academic researchers and postgraduate students have been in residence, triggering numerous participatory, inclusive performance and experiential activities. The residency space is an ex-Romany coach-built trailer situated in a quiet area of the site, offering a focused and reflective working environment away from normative work practices and communication channels. Portscafo-based writer in residence, Kat Holman describes the project van space as fantastic, with good areas to work in, no complications or diversions, a chance to immerse herself in the surroundings and writing. Mobile phones rarely work. It's a regular occurrence to see people wandering across the field in search of a signal. It's great to be cut off, said writer in residence Alison Hallett. The joy of Caravanserai, she said, is that it invites everyone and anyone to creatively connect with the ongoing, ever-changing nature of the landscape. The nuances and textures of various entanglements of people, objects, materials and ethos are too dense to describe in detail. So I'm just going to let these images roll, and they're really the tip of the iceberg of the kind of the works that have gone on there. The interdependent relationship between local residents and visitors, between village and campsites, and between the many local networks and societies provides fertile ground for creative exploration. Here the concept of audience is replaced by that of intersubjective relationship that resists the separation of a thing made or performed and a viewer. Instead, the meshwork of interrelations is perceived as an ongoing process of exchange and activity, as artist Richard Lazelle notes. I used to think obsessively about audience, like art. I'm not sure that the concept of audience works for me any longer. I think it's about developing a relationship with people, place and ideas, like a kind of social architect, a performer who's not performing, a planner with soul or a friendly face. I hope that my practice will generate some shifts in perception and open up possibilities for other artists. Similarly, Caravanserai sees its curatorial role as opening up possibilities and caretaking, in the etymological sense of curate, curare, to take care of. Kirsten Lavers, an artist who instigated the Taxi Gallery, describes herself as a caretaker, not only with the focus of offering care, but also as a reminder to take care in terms of being in a position of responsibility and control in relation to the work. With Caravanserai, this is inclusive of a place ethical approach that seeks to take care of where we are through creative activities that engage with the local environment. Sitting within a tourist business and holiday destination, the project reaches a wide cross-section of people, and in terms of its operational structures is flexible, encouraging responsive practices to evolve without the constraints of overarching thematic curatorial structures, remote committees or inflexible bureaucracies. Through participative activities and events or functions that celebrate the local, Caravanserai opens up possibilities for change that are non-confrontational. This is slow art in progress, as is fitting to the complexities of a local context. In his reflections on creativity, David Bone refers to the original meaning of the word art as being to fit, and says that the fact that we are hardly aware of the syllable art in words like articulates or artifact is an indication of an implicit but deeply penetrating fragmentation in our thoughts between aesthetic, emotional aspects of life and its practical functional aspects. Caravanserai thence function as connective opportunities that invite people to consider different ways of doing things. For example, the annual feast entices people to shop locally, share food and culinary skills. The idea for feast was sparked by witnessing campers' use of Tesco shop and drop on site. The sharing of food is a fundamental activity that allows space to create alternatives to habitual practices. Feast in particular creates a momentum for change that can be articulated as a celebratory methodology for raising issues relevant to the local economy and environment. Ivan Illich speaks of conviviality as an alternative to consumerist market production. Conviviality is opposed to productivity. Productivity is conjugated with to have, conviviality with to be. For the first feast in 2009, various barbecues were set up in the project van with Greg Humphreys making charcoal from local willow. As the sun set, guests were welcomed and invited to remember those no longer with us, and a fire sculpture created by Bristol-based artist Hannah Cox was set alight in memory of Laura Hardman. Laura was the project manager for the arts funding programme, also called Feast. The picture of her remains in the project van, accompanied by her thoughts on the transformational potential of art. In this sense, our annual feast is also a memorial to Laura, a presence of absence. These events linger in the memories and conversations that occur in the proximities of campsite life. In the summer evenings, cooking takes place outside under the watchful eyes of all who pass by. The air is filled with the smell of barbecues, and amid the mass of supermarket burgers, well-kitted canvas kitchens, canopied motorhomes, and fully floored and furnished caravan awnings are a few fishers and foragers. Foraging sessions